Clear and cold this morning. Didn't quite get a frost last night, but pretty close. It's been one of those days where we get a 30 or 40 degree swing between the overnight low and the afternoon high. But right now, chilly. So, I've been thinking this past day or two about plans. You know, we're coming to the end of the year, and the people, as we usually do, we make our plans for next year, New Year's resolutions. Of course, the trouble with those New Year's resolutions is sticking to them. Everybody loves to tell themselves that, okay, this year I'm going to do this, I'm going to get healthier, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That's all great, and I encourage everybody to do those things. The trouble is sticking with it. I was having a conversation on LinkedIn with a guy who does LinkedIn marketing, and I made the point that, or his post was something to the effect of, it's like, oh, have a plan, and do the 4 steps that you need to in order to achieve whatever result he was talking about. And I just commented and says, yeah, that's fantastic. Almost any plan works as long as you actually do it. And he agreed. That's the thing, is that you got to do the plan, and that's the boring part. So, you need a plan for your health, for your wealth, for your family, for all the different things that I've been talking about for the last little while. And virtually any plan works, but you got to stick to it. The sticking to it through the difficult parts, through the boring parts, is really what separates the people who succeed and people who don't. The FTC will crack down on people, selling courses and whatever, and that's why there's always that language. It's like these results are not typical. And I was in I think it was the same guy. I was in his marketing, LinkedIn marketing course, and one of his first items in the course was that only 15% of people finish online courses. And I don't know if that statistic is true or not, but it feels plausible. 1 out of 6. And it's a matter of when you have the new thing, you're in that goal-seeking behavior, and that's human beings are just wired to do that. You see the tree in the distance, you can go towards the tree. Once you're at the tree, then that reward mechanism internally goes away. It shuts off. So you can go into the neurochemistry of it, but it doesn't especially matter. It's just you always need a goal to be going towards, and after you start the plan, it's hard to keep that momentum up, because you feel like, well, I've started the thing, and that's kind of it. So it's critical to have those daily goals, those weekly goals, those monthly goals, and on into the future. And the trick to the whole thing, at least in my opinion, is to make the behavior the thing that's rewarded and not the outcome. It's another way of saying life is a journey, which is probably an overused expression, but is true. The journey is the important part, not the destination. So you have to sculpt your plans into a way that the journey is what is rewarded and enforced or reinforced, and that will hopefully help you stick to your plans. So I'm in the process of figuring out my plans for 2024, and I like to take my time and try to figure out exactly what I want to do, and then break down the sub goals under that, and then the behaviors that will achieve those goals. So past couple of years has been tricky for me, just because I haven't been able to do the things that I used to be able to do, just health wise. And so I've had to readjust my parameters, I guess, as far as like how much activity can I get done in a day. So on the business side, I've been I've hired a great staff, and transitioning more and more of the daily work to them. But it's interesting. So like the entire staff does basically what I could have done by myself. So that's a difficult reality to come to. So but I was killing myself essentially. So that's not a good thing. Better to distribute the work into a manageable amount for a normal number of people, and that way it's sustainable over the long term. But yeah, so I hope everyone is taking stock, reviewing how this year went and how they want the next year to go, as we're coming into the close of November here. We got one more month. Very little gets done during December, in between the holidays and people just taking time off and things. But we all are still going to experience the same amount of time. Unless you're running, then you'll experience less time. Slightly, very slightly. So yeah, it'll be New Year's before you know it. It's hard to believe it's already the end of November. But yeah, let's figure out what we need to do in the coming year for all of our different areas of life. The different links in the chain that I was talking about the other day. Make them all as strong as possible. Because part of that link in the chain analogy is that you're always going to be limited by your weakest link. And depending on your particular life, that might be something that doesn't crop up for a period of years, but then eventually you hit some limit, and so it's better to deal with those ahead of time instead of just letting them linger. So I think we should all take this time to review all those different links in life, figure out which ones are doing well, which ones are doing poorly, and then shore up the ones that are doing poorly. Because there's a lot of, like in business literature, there's a lot of play to your strengths kind of talk, which is great for a business, because in a business you can be isolated and focused. So it's part of what I'm doing with Tax Sherpa is we're refining who it is that we best serve, and it's not everybody. So and that's okay. There's plenty of work out there. I was on 2 different calls on Friday where I was talking to vendors, new vendors, and we were doing like kickoff call kind of stuff. And so in 2 different instances, I talked about what it is we do, and and people come back like, yeah, I'm gonna need your help. So everybody has tax problems because nobody's happy with their tax situation. And so in a business you can do that. You can really speak to your one problem that you are trying to solve for people. But in life, we don't have that luxury. We are all enmeshed in multiple areas all the time. So we can't just focus on business and ignore everything else. We can't just focus on family and ignore everything else. We can't just focus on health and ignore everything else. Because, it's just the web of life that we are in. So we got to make sure that we are strong in all areas. Now, you're always going to have strengths and weaknesses. Everybody does. But you want your weaknesses not to be so weak that they limit you from pursuing your strengths. So you gotta make sure that those areas are strong enough. And what that means to you, it's gonna be different. What that means to me is gonna be different. So, yeah, but taking the time to think through those things, I think is critical. Anyway, my hands are freezing, so I'm gonna go inside now. I'll catch you guys later.